Hopefully everyone's doing well. Today we'll be talking more about the mapping essay, and I'll be reviewing some stuff about the mapping essay that I went over this week, and I have a few housekeeping details to discuss as well. But let's dive in, sorry, and see what we'll be talking about. So today we'll be talking about the mapping essay, and today will also be some independent work time to start drafting the mapping essay. So this video won't be as long as last Tuesday's video, but I do have a few things to go over, so I want to get started on that. So here's where we are on our syllabus here. Please continue working on the Writing Lab 4, which is still up on Blackboard. That's going to be due by midnight tonight. So our current work of what will be due is start working on the mapping essay. And then on Thursday, I'm going to be talking about presentations. And I'll also recommend some programs you'll be able to use for your presentation. And keep in mind, it doesn't have to be a PowerPoint. There's other things that you can do, like you can even, there's a few different ways you can approach the assignment. Like, and maybe instead of a video, you want to make a podcast or something cool like that. You're totally welcome to do that, but there are programs out there for screen recording. So one thing you could even do is just download. In case you're curious, the program I'm using for screen recording and audio capture is called Active Presenter, and it's totally free. And they also have ways that you can even make PowerPoint presentations within the program and record your audio. So I think Active Presenter works on both Windows and Mac. Not sure if it works on Chromebooks, but that's what I've been using so far, and I have zero complaints about it. It's actually been an excellent program. So if that's something that you might be interested in, I can talk more about that on Thursday, and I'll make some program recommendations for Windows, Mac, and maybe Chromebooks as well. But for now, we're going to focus on our syllabus here. So please note the due dates. So on Thursday, we'll begin talking about presentations, start working on videos, and I will make another video as well and talk about that. I'll make some program recommendations, some other ways you might be able to approach the assignment. So don't worry too much about it. Keep in mind that presentations only have to be 5 to 7 minutes at most, so it shouldn't hopefully be that big of a deal, but I'll talk more about that in detail on Thursday. And of course, we'll be working on the mapping paper and the presentations. And then please note on Tuesday, March 31st, right before break, is when presentation links are due. So what that means is that once you have the presentation made, and you have either a video file or something like that that you can upload onto YouTube, I will open a Dropbox and you will be able to copy the link of your YouTube video and just send it through the Dropbox. And those will be due on Tuesday, March 31st by midnight on Blackboard. And please note, April 1st through the 12th, we do not have class. That is spring break, and I believe spring break is pretty much still on, so there will be no class during that time. And keep in mind that during spring break you should be working on the mapping essay, because right after that, on April 14th, which is a Tuesday, will be our workshop for the mapping essay, and we'll be doing peer review on Tuesday, April 14th. So it would be helpful if you have your full draft by then, but at least you have, 12 days to work on it through spring break, so that's kind of cool. And you can also begin revising papers at that point for resubmission. So say that you have a paper that you just maybe want to improve and want a better grade on. Resubmissions will be accepted from April 14th up until May 5th. And then on April 16th, we'll start talking about the research paper project at that point, and that is our final paper. So keep in mind the mapping essay is actually our third paper. And then the research project paper is our final paper. And keep in mind that the mapping essay, the final draft of that, is due on April 16th on Thursday by midnight on Blackboard. So if you have any questions about due dates or anything like that, you can always email me. You can still email me at any time at my SUNY email. And if you want to make an appointment on Zoom during this week, just let me know. You're better off probably just emailing me, and we will schedule it, and I will set it up and schedule it through Starfish. So anyway, let's get started, and I want to dive into some housekeeping items first. So there have been a few questions about subtitles and how to access subtitles on my videos on YouTube. That's why I've been uploading them to YouTube, to be honest, is because the subtitles, as far as I can tell, are fairly accurate. So I'm going to show you all how to do that in case you can't hear me very well. Hopefully my audio quality is a little bit better. I'm trying to do what I can on that. But I will show you all how to access subtitles. So the first thing that you do is open YouTube and go to our YouTube channel, which is actually listed right here in our syllabus. So you just click on that link, and I'll open the Pathos video that's from last week and show you all how to do that. So the first thing you do is go into Subtitles, Closed Captioning, and then you click on this little gear icon here in the player, and then if you want subtitles on, all you do is go into Subtitles, Closed Captioning, and you make sure that English Auto Generated is on, and it should hopefully work from there. So I'm just playing the video out of curiosity to see, and it is working. So if you need closed captioning, it is there for you. And I'm pretty sure that these subtitles are accurate. So if you need subtitles and need some help with that, it is there for you. I'm trying to make my videos as accessible as I can, considering the circumstances. So anyway, that's one housekeeping item that I wanted to discuss. And the other one is the writing lab, in case you haven't done the writing lab yet. It is located on Blackboard under discussion boards, and you just click on the writing lab tab here, and then you go under the Pathos workshop activity, and here are the guidelines for the writing lab. And all you do is create blog entry, and that allows you to type in the box there. And in case you're wondering, okay, if I want that extra credit that she was talking about, all you have to do is comment on someone else's blog entry, and that will enable you to get 1 or 2 points of extra credit that I was mentioning. So make sure to do that. I mean, it's 1 or 2 points of extra credit, so it's there for you. And one other housekeeping item that I wanted to mention, all the materials that I talk about in these videos are directly uploaded to Blackboard before I even begin them. So if you're wondering what PowerPoint I'm going through today, all of these PowerPoints are directly in order that I go through them. So, the most recent, I know there's a lot of them, but the most recent will be the mapping essay part 3, and that will be the one that I'll be going through today. So if you want to download it and follow along while you're listening or watching the video, definitely recommend doing that. And keep in mind that our syllabus and schedule are still, I uploaded it and updated it. It is still here and present on Blackboard as well. And in case you still want access to that document I made about transitioning into online format, that is still here too. Keep in mind that I've been sending out a lot of announcements and emails, and it's just my main way of communicating with you all, especially with concerns that might be coming up transitioning into distance format. So that's there as well. All the announcements I post, I keep right there on Blackboard. And all of our paper drop boxes are open still too. So say you want to resubmit a paper for regrading before final portfolios, they're all still open. And one other thing I do want to remind everyone about is that you should begin working on your portfolios as well. Keep in mind we will not be doing paper portfolios. Hopefully everyone knows that by now, because I have given updates on that. So final portfolios will be changed into digital portfolios. We won't be creating websites, but we will be utilizing Google Drive. For final portfolios, one long Word document can be turned in instead, with all 4 papers, reflections, discussion boards, writing labs, and classroom materials to be considered during final grading. Final portfolios will still be due on Thursday, March 7th by midnight on Blackboard. Keep in mind, I cannot give an extension on that at all because I will be leaving on May 12th, so I pretty much have to collect portfolios and start grading them and get through them as soon as possible. So those will be due right on midnight by May 7th, and there will be no exceptions to this. There won't be extensions. There's just no room in our schedule or calendar to do that. So those will be due right away. So make sure you have your final Word document complete. I'll be setting up a Dropbox on Blackboard and it can be turned in that way. Be sure to be typing your writing labs and pre-writing whatever notes you have from class. If you want to include it within the portfolio, those will have to be typed and included within the Word document. Because again, no instructors or faculty are allowed on campus at this point, so we are all working remotely. Non-essential personnel everywhere, honestly, are working remotely. So I cannot be on campus. I cannot collect materials on campus. So keep that in mind. So we will be moving to digital portfolios, and just having one long Word document is fine. And final reflections or cover letters will be due on the same date. And again, what does that mean for organization? It is still present within this document here about how you should be organizing your final portfolio in the long Word document you turn in. And to answer some of the questions I've been getting, yes, it needs to be one long Word document, because keep in mind, it won't just be me grading the papers, it will also be another faculty member looking at all the documents from class. So that's why it's important to have one long Word document per student. It makes it a whole lot easier in terms of grading. And I'm sure you're going to want to know your grade from the course as soon as possible. In order to do that, the most efficient way is to turn in one long Word document. And as long as it's organized in some logical or coherent manner, it should be fine, but here's my suggested order about how to organize your final portfolios. So if you have further questions about that, of course, I can still be reached by email. Keep in mind, I have updated and I have finished grading all the issue proposal papers, and I have not started on the annotated bibliographies in terms of grading yet, but I probably will be doing that sometime this afternoon. I'll start grading annotated bibliographies and try to get those done within the next couple weeks. So if you have any questions about grades or comments I make on a paper, the best way would be to email me, and if you want to make an appointment, please try to give me at least 24 hours notice if you want a Zoom or Skype meeting with me. It's just nice to have a bit of a heads up because at this point I am working full-time from home and working remotely, so I'm kind of juggling 2 jobs at the same time. But no big deal. If you want an appointment, please just give me some prior notice and we can make that happen. We can even make that happen on a weekend or a weekend or a weeknight evening. If that what works best for you, then that's fine. Just let me know. Anyway, let's dive into our PowerPoint material here that we'll be going over. Here is our PowerPoint for today. So again, that is under lessons, and it is the mapping essay part 3 here, in case you're wondering. Alright, so let's get started on this. Okay, so here's our part 3. This is the invention and drafting PowerPoint. So if you're starting to sit down and draft, I definitely recommend looking at this PowerPoint and maybe following along as I'm going through this. If you're wondering, a lot of the quotes from this PowerPoint today are pulled from a textbook that I actually used to use at Bonaventure called They Say, I Say. And it's an excellent source. Like, say you want more in-depth details about how to quote and different methods of using quotations. They Say, I Say is written by Graf and Birkenstein, and they're an excellent source for composition courses and even writing courses in general. So if you want some extra reading over the summer just for fun, They Say, I Say is definitely one of my favorite, probably, course textbooks that I ever worked with. So anyways, items for today. We'll be brainstorming, doing some invention, and writing the mapping essay. This is our drafting process now, so now that you turned in another paper, it's time to start drafting. So, for us, the underlying structure of effective academic writing and of responsible public discourse resides not just in stating our own ideas, but in listening closely to others around us, summarizing their views in a way they will recognize, and responding with our own ideas in kind. So that's kind of the idea between, from that textbook, from They Say, I Say. They talk a lot about responding to other people's ideas, and that's basically what we're doing within this paper. Okay, so here's our rhetorical situation, which of course we're all familiar with, and things that you should be hopefully automatically considering between each paper by now. So for your issue proposal, you organized your pre-existing knowledge on your issue and sketched a plan for research. You then compiled several sources and summarized their contents for your annotated bibliography. For this paper, you will map the controversy surrounding your issue by describing its history and summarizing at least 3 different positions on the issue, all from a completely neutral point of view before taking a position. So here's your purpose. Every time you begin to compose, you are entering a conversation. Academically, your task is to advance a current and ongoing dialogue rather than simply parrot what has already been said. Before you are able to advance any given conversation, it is imperative that you know what the conversation is and who is involved. That means you must listen to all sides of it. No matter how much you might disagree with the other side, it's important to listen to all sides of an issue before positioning yourself on the issue. Every time you begin to compose, you are entering a conversation. The major players in your conversation, and of course the groups, organizations, people, companies, governments, or any others who have a stake in the issue. So multiple perspectives, you will have to learn to listen to perspectives that are not your own. And be sure to listen and watch these 2 videos here. So these are 2 comparing issues, and it gives an example of multiple perspectives. So be sure to watch the liberal response to Steve Colbert, which is right here, and the conservative response from Greg Gutfeld, which are here below. So be sure to watch those at your own leisure. The links are right here and can be opened. All you have to do is right click, or actually I think you can just click directly on the link and it will open the YouTube links. Okay, so the purpose is your thesis. Your exigence, you have not listened fairly to all sides of your debate. You do not yet know who may be allies of yours, who are your opponents, what is your position. To explore the conversation at hand, who is in it, what are they saying? You will need to take a position of your own, and of course, what might your thesis need to say. Okay, so here's a review here of the rhetorical situation. You want to consider all major players and all sides. That means all sides that might be political, organizational, from a person, from groups, and how they identify. And of course, here's you right in the middle of it all. And of course, you want to consider your audience, your discourse, other speakers, and your exigence. Okay, so here's a drafting exercise to try on your own. If you want to try within a Google Doc, this is a great time to do so. So, your thesis belongs as the last 1 to 3 sentences of your introduction. It states your purpose and it also does it directly. And it's okay to do that within this paper. If your purpose is to evaluate sides in order to choose a position, the thesis must indicate that. So the claim is, I will investigate the various sides to the blank issue in order to take a position. So of course you insert your issue there. And then the growing controversy over immigration, this is just an example here, has caused a great debate recently. I have taken the time to listen closely to 3 of the most vocal in these debates so that I can formulate an informed position of my own. So again, this mapping essay is basically progressing and helping you to progress to the final research paper. So the support. You want to listen to major player 1, major player 2, and major player 3. And then finally in that 4th paragraph, is when you start formulating your own opinion. What do you think? Who may be your allies, your opponents, and why? We will take the time to listen. We will take the time to fully investigate the conversation at hand. Then you will tell the reader of your own position on the issue. So, the reasons. There are multiple sides to this issue, all of which I will deeply listen to and explore in a neutral, unbiased manner in order to locate my own allies and opponents. You'll have 4 total subpoints for this particular essay. The first 3 will outline various sides, and the last one will compare and contrast them. So your reason subpoints belong in topic, in the topic sentences of your body paragraphs, because supporting details explain and support those reasons. So this is another writing lab that we'll be doing, but this will be independent work. I won't be collecting this, but this is definitely something that you wanted to do on your own, and here is our invention and drafting activity. So it's important to start this on Tuesday for yourself. Might as well start pre-writing and outlining for yourself before getting into drafting. So that's what this writing lab is for. This will serve as the introduction to your essay because we must describe the context to our reader before we make a claim on them. This is the rhetorical situation. This is your introduction. Identify the components of your own rhetorical situation surrounding your chosen issue, beginning with the exigence. This will help us to locate competing discourses and places where different speakers might agree or disagree. Exigence. What caused the issue? What prompts past or present concern with the issue? What is the controversy? Why are people so passionate? And what is the importance of the issue and why should it be solved? And this is a great quote from Graff and Birkenstein from They Say, I Say. To make an impact as a writer, you will need to do more than make statements that are logical, well-supported, and consistent. You must also find a way of entering a conversation with others' views with something they say. So here's an example of immigration, and this is from the refugees' standpoint. Exigence. What caused the issue? Civil wars, unrest in the Middle East, concerns for safety and life. What prompts past and present concern with the issue? In the past, the U.S. had Ellis Island and welcomed immigrants from around the world. A post-9/11 world is now concerned with terrorism and resources. And of course, you outline the controversy, why are people passionate, and what is the importance of the issue. New travel bans from current administration may be unconstitutional. Refugees are displaced. The role of the U.S. in accepting refugees has changed. No country with the ban had produced terrorists, security, and safety of Americans. So identify the various players that are responsive to your debates. List 3 speakers, and yes, you should be using the sources you included within your annotated bibliography. So in other words, you want to choose 3 major sources from different points of view. So who has a stake in the game? For each player, what is their stake or agenda? Why are they involved in the conversation? For each player, list 2 or 3 values they may hold. What do they care about? What will they respond to? These players should represent not only various positions on an issue, but they should also comprise different perspectives. For example, with gun control on college campus, you should identify school administration, campus police, students, and college professors as potential speakers or sides to the conversation. And here's just an example of how you might want to be approaching invention or your writing lab. And be sure to start your writing lab in a Google Doc and be sure to include it within your final portfolio. You'll be describing the discourse community from each group. Identify the loudest voices. Who are they? Investigating what they care about, what is at stake, and you want to investigate their values and examine what they are saying. So here's an example. Major player are immigrants and refugees. Stake in the conversation might be deportation, criminality, legality, safety, survival, and types of people, men, women, families, non-citizens, workers, and values might be family-oriented, hard work, American dream, a better life, citizenship, justice, fairness, and equality. You have identified the various players involved in your rhetorical situation. Now it is time to position them by identifying one claim and at least one supporting reason, and what are they saying. Major player is the immigrant refugees, a claim they often heard repeated from this group. The U.S. should provide amnesty to citizenship for immigrant refugees, and reasons behind that was because my government is oppressive and because my country is in ruins. So it is establishing that ethos, and because I believe in the American ethos. Okay. Now you have identified your players and considered their individual stakes in the rhetorical situation. At whose table will these players sit? In other words, which of these will agree with each other and which would disagree? And on what grounds would they agree? And at which table do you belong? Why do you belong at this table? And these points should be labeled A and B. So a quotation to be considering is, instead of thinking of the argument as a text as an isolated entity, students should think of argument as one that responded to and provoked other arguments. Imagine the author as sitting in a crowded coffee shop talking to others, making claims that he or she is engaged with. And that is the end of our PowerPoint. I do want to go back and talk about those videos for a moment. So again, be sure to watch these at your own leisure. All you do is go into the PowerPoint and open link. And there are 2 videos here, and it gives great examples of considering other perspectives. Then, of course, I have to wait for the ad. Okay, so this is one video that you're going to want to watch. It's talking about the Apple ad on CNN, and there's 2 speakers that have different perspectives on it, so that's why they're examples within the PowerPoint. And here is the other link here. And here is the other perspective, is seeing an ad uses an Apple to attack Trump's fake news claims. So be sure to watch both of these videos. They are included within the PowerPoint and also within this video. Okay, so one other thing I do want to talk about before wrapping up this video here, and of course you definitely want to begin drafting on your own and start outlining and start inventing on the mapping essay paper. So I do want to go back to our Blackboard page just for a second. And in case you're wondering where the guidelines and stuff are, it is under assignment information. And I'm sorry, I know my voice is cracking today. I think it's just from, I think I just have some dryness going on in my throat. I'm fine, but I just have some dryness going on in my throat. Anyways, if you're wondering where the assignment for the mapping materials essay, this is where all the materials are. The guidelines, the rubric are under here still, and it's under the mapping essay materials folder. And I already went through these during one of our previous videos, so if you need a refresher or a review on that, you can always access my other YouTube videos. So if you need a refresher on that. But here is the mapping perspectives. I would also consider pulling this out, or even, if you can, printing it out. And here is the invention. So, you know, like the PowerPoint and the inventions section, it's definitely great to consider, you know, the writing lab. So if you need a refresher, if you're lost and confused, the best way to start is looking at this writing lab number 7, the invention. And then if you're still kind of lost and confused and need a refresher, it's great to pair the guidelines with the PowerPoints. And then if you need a refresher, like, okay, well, how do I start this paper? How do I start invention, pre-writing, drafting, however you want to call it? The invention section is right here. And you can start outlining and drafting that way on your own independently at your own pace. And then also going through the rest of the guidelines. I did go through the rest of the guidelines last video as well. So I'm not going to go too in-depth, but you know, it should be 4 to 7 pages, double-spaced, in Times New Roman. And the due dates are present on the syllabus schedule. So this gives a great sort of manual how to write the paper. So if you're stuck and you can go through and look at it this way. And of course, if you ask me, how do I write the paper? I'm going to point you to the guidelines.